Audio Jungle.
Bullshit.
Let's pretend for a moment we've entered a parallel universe, free of bullshit and full of bold solutions. That's what no bullshit marketing is all about. I'm your host, Dave Mastovich, and let's cut the bullshit. NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell is on the hot seat again, this time because of how he handled Deflategate. But with Goodell, it goes beyond any specific gate, whether it's Bountygate, Spygate, Deflategate, or other stupid decision gates like his handling of the Ray Rice and Adrian Peterson abuse cases. The common thread is the commissioner's flawed decision-making and lame communication. I call it Goodell syndrome, when an arrogant leader repeatedly fumbles both the big decision and communication of the why behind it. Unfortunately, similar stuff happens at many companies just without the public scrutiny. In a recent customer experience report, 82% said they left a company because of a poor customer experience. When our service is lacking, what do we tell the customer? When we miss an internal deadline or fail to hit a goal, what do we say to our boss? Some of the patent excuses are, quote, "We were crazy busy." He or she was a difficult customer. The crisis of the day happened and I had to take care of that. Sometimes legitimate roadblocks keep us from meeting deadlines or reaching our goals. However, peers, bosses, and clients perceive the responses as excuses rather than reality. Why the disconnect? When we fall prey to the Goodell syndrome, we fail to focus on the issue over the instance. If internal and external customers are disappointed or you regularly miss deadlines, it doesn't matter what happened in the most recent instance. The issue is not delivering what you promise. You obviously need to fix the instance as soon as it happens, but you really need to concentrate on the issue, the reason why the problem occurred. Here's how. Define what went wrong from a process standpoint rather than just that instance. Develop an action plan to prevent the issue from happening again. Craft your message to explain what happened, why, and how you're fixing it. Communicate your message to key target audiences again and again. Use a mix of vehicles because telling your story one time in one way isn't enough. The next time you're asked why something didn't go as planned, don't fall prey to the Goodell syndrome. Take personal responsibility, focus on the issue, not the instance, and communicate a clear, transparent message to your key target audiences. Our guest today is Justin Mastrangelo. He's the president of JA Interactive, a digital and online marketing company based in Pittsburgh, and was named the Grand Marketer of the Year by the American Marketing Association a couple of years ago. Justin, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, Dave. It's good to be here.
We're happy to have you. You've been finding creative solutions in mobile, digital, and online marketing for a lot of years. Tell us about your career arc. How'd you get where you are today?
I appreciate you saying a lot of years as to not give away my age. Thank you for that. So I started in web development many years ago, building custom websites, custom software behind those websites. And about the time, 2008, 2009, saw the industry was changing and going away from custom solutions to a lot of off-the-shelf products that companies and nonprofits could buy and then put together to do what they wanted. So I changed the business from less development and more consultation. So the struggle then for these organizations wasn't how do I build my website, it was how do I get traffic to my website, how do I make money with my website, how does it achieve my goals. So that became a big part of our business. And at the same time, I get involved with text message marketing. It's a technology I believe in. It can do a lot more than it's doing. And so we started some businesses around that as well.
He talked about me sort of hiding his age, and a compliment I have for Justin is I met him when I think he was in college and had already kind of started doing a side business and working for agencies and doing some freelance work. And you started your company right out of college, correct?
Yeah, I had a real job, I like to say, for about 2-3 years out of college. But at the same time, I was doing consulting work on the side and freelance work. So yeah, I didn't have a real job for very long.
It's exciting. He's an entrepreneur. And even though you're an entrepreneur and entrepreneurs move fast and make quick decisions, I'm sure that you've still probably seen some bullshit in the workplace. Can you give me an example from the past when you kind of just shook your head? Could be a company culture, questionable leadership, somebody had a lousy work ethic, a time when you just had to say, that's BS.
Yeah, I mean, being involved with the technology side, there's a lot of that. So a new technology will come out, someone will start to make claims about it, maybe within the company. At a meeting the other day where someone said, well, Twitter is working really well for us. It's better than Facebook. And I was calling BS in my head, but I didn't say it yet. I said, well, we'll investigate. We'll take a look at that. So we dug into the analytics, we looked at things and found out that it wasn't working, that Facebook was working and it wasn't Twitter. And so there's a lot of that. I think this technology can do that because I'm excited about it, but I'm not really taking the time to figure out if that's true. So I call BS on technology a lot. Search engine optimization is a big one. We're doing this to help our search rankings, and that's not actually going to help, but everyone's excited about it, so they're just kind of all going with the BS of it, so.
I think there's sometimes almost two extremes of BS with the social media marketing and digital marketing. You tell me what you think as the expert in that space. I've found some clients are borderline frightened of it or unwilling to put a penny into it. So I think that's BS because they're doing nothing.
Sure.
Then I find others who go the complete other way and think that social is the end all be all. Talk about that.
That's a very good point. Yeah, it's like there's BS one way or the other. I don't know what's worse, really. I'm not sure. I guess if you're trying and you're failing, at least you're trying is what they say is better, but you're wasting a lot of money. But yeah, I don't see as much of the we don't want to do it at all anymore. I see a little more of the, oh, we're doing it and here's this metric we found that we love, so we're going to talk about it. And it's not getting the end result of what they want, which is to grow their business or grow their audience. So I see more of that now where it's just, Twitter's hot, we need to do this, or Snapchat's great, let's get our company involved in it, with no real understanding of what it does or how they're going to do that. And that's a shame because you can waste a lot of time and money.
Do you, when you're working with someone and they want to do, let's say, Twitter, if there's a time where you thought that company maybe wasn't best for that medium, whether it was Twitter or LinkedIn, how did you tackle that to try and convince them that maybe they needed to do one of the other mediums?
What I do is I do a lot of analogies with clients to get them back to earth. So if they come to me and say, well, we want to use Twitter, I'll say, well, okay, tell me why, and I'll listen to their reason why. Because it's so great and all the kids are on it. And I'll say, okay, well, what's the goal for your business? And I try to back it up to what are you trying to accomplish? So don't come to me and say, I want to use this hammer to build my house. Just tell me what kind of house you want to build. And then I'll start to talk about, well, and I had a client the other day call me. It was a sign company, and they wanted to do text message marketing. And I said, well, tell me why you think you want to do this and how you want to do it. And of course, they didn't really have a good explanation. And I said, well, are you doing search engine ads? If people search sign company Pittsburgh, do you show up? And they said, no. I said, well, that's a pretty easy, low-hanging fruit. I use low-hanging fruit a lot. That's a low-hanging fruit. And now you're chasing down text message marketing, which you're going to have to come up with some really creative ways to use that and not be a spammer. So I try to get them to discuss what are the goals for their business, what are they currently doing, and make sure that what they want to do is really the next best thing to do.
We're talking with Justin Mastrangelo, the president of JA Interactive, an entrepreneur who I think is solid already. I can no longer call you an up-and-comer. 10 years ago and 5 years ago, I used to say he was a up-and-comer entrepreneur that we wanted to keep here in Pittsburgh. Now you're just a young, solid, established guy. So as you built your business, talk about being an entrepreneur and building your business. There were probably times you look back now and realize that maybe you were a BS marketer or a BS leader or maybe a BS communicator. Tell us one of your biggest learning experience, what you learned and how it might benefit our audience.
I've learned things in my own business, so being an entrepreneur and being on the other side of it. So I try not to BS my clients. If I tell them something and it doesn't work, pretty quickly I said, look, this didn't work. Here's what we're going to do different. So I don't go down that path. But in my own business, a couple years ago, this was when social media was becoming the thing. And I wasn't into it a whole lot yet. I was still a lot on the website. I spent a lot of money for somebody to help me with social media and the idea that it would grow our startup business, our product business. And I kind of fell for a lot of BS at the time. And I spent some money and it didn't work and it wasn't in the goals that I wanted to accomplish. And I did the same thing a few years ago with PR where I thought, well, this is what I think we need next. I found somebody who said, oh yeah, this is what you need. And we were all having fun with the BS. And at the end of the day, it didn't grow the business. So now when I have clients that come to me with a problem, I'm very careful that I only try to sell them what they need. And I make sure they understand at the end of the day, this is what you're going to get out of it. Because I think that's when you get BS'd yourself or you do the BSing. Yeah.
So it sounds like driving towards clarity when making decisions.
Right. Yeah, so in both of those cases, when I hired help with social media and I hired help with PR, I was just caught up in this is going to be great and I think this is going to work. And I wasn't really spending time figuring out, is this the greatest thing for my business? I found somebody else who would just agree with me and say, oh yeah, this is a good thing, you need this is going to help you grow. When none of us were really sitting down figuring out, is this really going to work? How are we going to measure it? So in both cases, I tried something, it didn't work, it happens, but lots of BS all around when that happens.
There sure is. So that's a good example of turning something that was BS into a learning experience. One of the things that I've learned over the years is I've constantly tweaked my definition of marketing, even though it's the space I've been in my entire life. And I believe it starts with clearly defining your target markets and then finding out what they want through marketing intel. And if you don't already have it the way they want it, develop it or tweak it so that you can give it to them when and where they want it at a price they're willing to pay. And then tell them about it again and again, whether that's through social, text, television, video, direct mail, email marketing, whatever type of marketing. The telling them about it is unfortunately what most people misperceive as marketing. So with that as my definition of marketing, give me one, or it can be a couple, your most amazing marketing success. The time when you can look back and say, this is a time when we did real marketing and it worked.
So there's two things there. The first, when we started the text message marketing business in 2009, was kind of a relaunch of it. We were selling it direct. So we were calling on agencies, we were calling on companies, nonprofits, trying to sell them the idea of text message marketing, which was still a new concept at the time. It went not that well. So it was like we were spending way too much time, we weren't getting the return we wanted, and we retooled the business to make it more inbound. So we lowered the time it took to sell, people would search, they would find, we were doing webinars, and that worked pretty well. We started to grow a little better. But we hit again a wall where we said, all right, we haven't broken this thing open. So we launched in at the end of 2013, a product called Join by Text. One of the things we noticed from our audience was they loved collecting email addresses via text messaging. So they really weren't understanding text messaging, but they understood email. So we took this idea of, all right, use texting to just collect email addresses right now. You can do it at events, you can do it through advertisements, at your store, whatever it might be. So we took this small idea, we went out to the market with it, we targeted different users of email marketing platforms, and it grew really, really well. So the marketing success there was we listened to the audience. We weren't selling them what they wanted at the time. We were selling them something too big. We sold them something smaller that they did want. And we did a really good job of using social media and search to find them and give them that right product, like you said, at the right time. So I'm pretty proud of that as a way that marketing influenced the product and sold the product. And I think that's when it really works best.
Let's talk about that product for a little bit because it's compelling to me and Mass Solutions has used it. And one of the things I want to say, I'm going to give a preamble here before I ask the question, is what you do well is it is no BS, because Mike Gaddy and I have come to you a number of times, and Mike is a key player at the Mass Solutions team and on the client services side, and we would come to you and say, we were thinking of doing this for client A. And you'd say, why do you want to do that? You could probably do B. Or one time you actually just said, no, you shouldn't really be doing any of this. Put that money somewhere else. And then a couple other times you said, yes, let's do that. So I want to take a two-part question. The first part is, talk about how you develop that skill and have the courage to be able to say, that's not what you need to do to people like us.
Well, I mean, one part of that, speaking on the entrepreneur side of things, is you have to have a stable enough business that you can turn down business at the moment and see that it's good for your brand and it's good for you as a person, that these people will come back, they'll trust you. So you have to have, if you're living paycheck to paycheck, so to speak, as an entrepreneur, that is very difficult. But I think morally, I have a hard time selling somebody something they don't need. It doesn't feel right. I know at the end of the day, we'll make some money, but we won't have this great story. You could damage a relationship. So and I know about you, but when I go somewhere, like my example with social media and PR, I kind of expect the person I'm working with is going to understand me, and they're going to tell me if I'm trying to buy something that doesn't make sense. If you went to the car dealership and you said, I need to buy a car to haul my kids around, that they wouldn't sell you a two-door sports car. That's ironic because I drive a two-door sports car with cars. Anyway, but you know what I mean. I mean, you would expect that they would at least understand you to a certain degree and try to help you. So I just think it's right. I mean, that's the way you have to be with people. So, but thank you. I'm glad you.
Sure. Well, we do the same thing a lot, and it's something that I think is people will actually say, "I was surprised." Like years later, someone will say, "I was surprised that you didn't try to get us to buy something," and then I came back to you a few years later. So now on to the main question. Talk about that product. Because I think that's something that our marketers and our entrepreneurs out there might be able to use. It's the one where you said, let's get the emails via text at an event or through a promotion.
Yeah, so the idea there is, we've all been to events or been to a bar or a restaurant or a retailer, and they have the pen and paper or the pen and clipboard out, or they want you to sign up for their email list. And there's so many things that go wrong there, and I've seen this on the client side. People fill out email addresses, you can't read their handwriting. The little slips of paper get lost. No one enters them. No one has time. So it's just kind of this broken process. So with text messaging, the idea is you text a word to our number. The word is unique to that client. Let's say it's at an event. They get a message back that says, hey, if you want to sign up for our email list to send out this and that, reply with your email address. They reply. It goes right on their email list at MailChimp or other email marketing providers. There's no data entry, and they get a thank you text message, and that's it. So, at an event, they can collect hundreds and hundreds of email addresses within minutes. No pen and paper, no clipboards.
Now, when they give the text back, is their opt-in, the approval they're given, like to say you can email to me?
And some email platforms will then require an even second-level opt-in for them to get an email address. It's like they're signing up on your website, but they're signing up via text message. So in some cases, they may have to approve it via email. But with a lot of them now, it's like they signed up on your website, except they did it via text message. Now, they're not opted in for text message marketing, which again was this thing that was difficult to sell to clients and challenging. But they've opted in for email marketing, which is something that everybody now agrees is a valuable marketing channel.
We're talking with Justin Mastrangelo here on the No Bullshit Marketing Show, and we do tape live in downtown Pittsburgh, so you get to hear some trucks, some motorcycles, and there we just heard, I think it was a police car, so exciting times. Justin, I like to talk a lot about asking, what's the big idea? When it comes to messaging, we have to understand both our why, our company's reason for being, and our customers' why, their reason for buying. We then need to crystallize that into one big idea, one memorable message or theme that makes an emotional impact on our target audiences. So whether it's for you personally or JA Interactive, what's the big idea?
So back to this joined by text story, I think the big idea is actually a small idea. And I've put this in front of a couple clients recently who have hit a roadblock with their business. When you're trying to sell something to a market and it feels like you're educating them too much, they're not ready for it, it's too big, it's too much, try to simplify something down and take a small idea, like a foot in the door, to use the overused phrase. So with text message marketing, it was this big new thing that was kind of scary. People had all kinds of problems with it. But when it came down to using texting to do one thing that they understood, they're extremely receptive, to the point where we don't even talk to them. They sign up online, they're done. So to use an example, Under Armour wants to enter the athletic apparel business, but they can't take on Nike. They have to come in with something small. So this idea, of course, I don't know if you remember, but it was just the shirt that you wore when you went running. I remember my buddy had it and he was raving about it. It was just that. And from that, they have now become, Nike's biggest competitor, and they've branched out from that. So you can get back to the big idea, but if you start with something small, it's a lot more manageable, a lot easier to work with.
So Justin Mastrangelo of JA Interactive is our guest today, and I want to make sure you can tell our listeners how they can reach out to you if they'd like to learn more about what you do, whether it's a Twitter handle or a text maybe.
Well, I'm on Twitter. Justin PGH is the Twitter handle. I'm on LinkedIn as well. Joined by Text is the product that I mentioned a few times. But I'm pretty active on Twitter. I put a lot of news up there. If you tweet at me, I will tweet back. Let's put it that way. I'd love to hear from people. I connect with people all the time just to talk. I'm not, like we talked before, I'm not the heavy salesperson. So if you have questions or anything, feel free to reach out.
And you brought Periscope to our podcast.
I did. I see I got a call in the middle of it. It just shut down Periscope. So I'm going to put that in my feedback to them. But yeah, I think we should be Periscoping more, although I'm just not sure what yet. And now I'm looking over at my phone. It's just black and dead. It's just sitting there.
It feels bad.
Yeah, it feels like it just gave up on us.
Justin, thanks for being here.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. This was fun. I feel like we should shoot hoops at the end. You're a big basketball guy.
Yes. I'd love.
We
need to put a hoop out front.
And delivery, food delivery, and a basketball hoop.
That's what we're going to do. Michelle, our producer, can help out with that. Talk to Mike Gaddy and see if we can make that happen.
There you go.
Get everything going. To our audience, thanks for joining us for No Bullshit Marketing. Visit boldsolutionsnobs.com for show notes plus additional marketing and messaging resources. Sign up for light reading. Yeah, you'll receive valuable strategies every other week to improve your marketing and transform your message. It really is light, intended to be read in 2 minutes or less, and it just might trigger bright ideas for you. To sign up, visit masssolutions.biz. Remember, ask yourself, what's the big idea, and build your story around the answer. It's all about bold